Daughters, what is something you wish your father knew about girls when you were growing up? I wish my dad knew that buying me deodorant at 11 wasn't something to be embarrassed about. When I started developing, my mom was traveling for work constantly. She'd landed this huge consulting contract that had her flying to different cities every week. So it was just me and dad figuring everything out. And honestly, we were both pretty clueless. My dad was this big, tough construction foreman who could fix anything with duct tape and determination. But put him in charge of an 11-year-old girl going through puberty, the man was completely lost. It started with little things. Like when I complained that my training bras were getting tight, he'd just nod and say, "Write it on the grocery list for when mom gets back." Or when I asked about shaving my legs because all my friends were doing it, he'd panic and suggest I call my Aunt Linda. But the deodorant situation couldn't wait for backup. I remember the exact moment I realized I needed it. It was after PE class and we'd just finished running laps in the October heat. Our teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, had us doing these brutal suicide drills, and by the end, everyone was sweaty and gross. I was standing in line at the water fountain when this girl, Madison, who was basically the queen bee of 6th grade, walked by with her little crew. She wrinkled her nose when she got near me and whispered something to her friend Sarah. They both looked back at me and giggled. I wanted to disappear into the floor. That whole day, I was paranoid. I kept doing that thing where you pretend to stretch just so you can smell your own armpit. By lunch, I was convinced everyone could smell me from across the cafeteria. When I got home, Dad was in his usual spot at the kitchen table, still in his work clothes, going through invoices with a calculator that was probably older than me. His hard hat was on the counter next to a half-eaten bologna sandwich. "How was school, kiddo?" he asked without looking up. I stood there for like 5 minutes, working up the courage. My face was burning with embarrassment, but I knew I couldn't go through another day like that. "Dad?" My voice came out all squeaky. "Yeah?" He still wasn't looking at me, just punching numbers into that ancient calculator. "I need to ask you something." That got his attention. He looked up, and I could tell by his expression that he was expecting me to ask about homework or if Sarah could sleep over this weekend. I stared down at my sneakers, focusing on a scuff mark near the toe. "I need deodorant." The calculator slipped out of his hands and clattered onto the table. His face went bright red like when he hit his thumb with a hammer. He cleared his throat about 5 times. "Can't you wait for your mom? She's not back for 2 weeks, and I really need it now." I was practically whispering at this point. Dad ran his hand through his hair, which was what he always did when he was thinking hard about something. "Right, okay, yes, that's normal, growing up stuff." He looked so uncomfortable that I almost told him to forget it, but then I thought about facing Madison and her crew again tomorrow. "Maybe we could go to the store after dinner?" I suggested. He nodded like he was agreeing to some major business deal, but dinner came and went, and Dad kept finding excuses. First, he needed to return a phone call. Then he remembered he had to check something in the garage. Then he suddenly decided the kitchen faucet needed immediate attention. I went to bed that night thinking I'd have to suffer through another embarrassing day at school. The next morning, there was a grocery bag outside my bedroom door. Inside was every type of deodorant CVS sold. Men's, women's, roll-on, spray, clinical strength. Probably $40 worth. But here's the thing that made me cry happy tears. There was a sticky note on top that said, "Wasn't sure which one. You're growing up and that's normal. Love, Dad. PS, got myself some too so we match." He bought himself the exact same pink secret deodorant I chose. For the next month, every morning he'd dramatically apply his pink deodorant and announce, "Can't forget the secret," just to make me laugh. I wish he knew that moment made me feel like the most normal, loved kid in the world. My elderly neighbor was accused of something horrible, but the truth shocked everyone in our building. I live in an apartment building where Mrs. Rose, the sweetest 70-year-old lady, would always give cookies to the kids. Every Saturday morning, children would line up at her door for fresh baked chocolate chip cookies. She'd been doing this for years, and it was everyone's weekend highlight. One day, Karen from the 3rd floor started spreading nasty rumors. She told parents that Mrs. Rose was too friendly with kids and they should keep their children away. She even started a group chat warning other parents. Within a week, no one came for cookies anymore. The hallway that once smelled like warm chocolate became empty and silent. Mrs. Rose was devastated. I'd see her putting out fresh cookies every Saturday, but no one showed up. Sometimes she'd sit by her window, just watching the empty hallway. Then last Tuesday, Karen's 6-year-old son got really sick. Turns out she had been giving him healthy treats she bought from some random Facebook seller. Several other kids who ate these treats also got food poisoning and ended up in the hospital. The police investigated and found out Karen was reselling expired candy she bought in bulk. She had spread rumors about Mrs. Rose because she wanted to sell her own treats to the building's kids instead. Now Mrs. Rose's weekend cookie line is twice as long as before. Parents apologized and kids made her world's best baker cards. And Karen? She's moving out next week after getting charged with selling expired food to children. Karma bakes its own batch of justice.
My wife aborted our baby without telling me, all because her toxic BFF convinced her the zodiac sign was wrong. Now I'm ready to walk away from our marriage. I hate my wife's best friend. Let's call her Lisa. I met Katie back in high school. Same friend group, same parties, same hangouts. After a few months, I fell for her. Told her how I felt. She felt the same. We started dating 6 years together before I proposed. She said yes. Happiest moment of my life. We were young, in love, telling everyone, planning forever. Everyone congratulated us, except Lisa. She stood there with this forced smile. No hug. No, I'm happy for you. Just silence. I brushed it off. Katie told me Lisa's always been weird about relationships. I didn't press it. Katie made her maid of honor. Looking back, biggest mistake of our marriage. Fast forward 4 years. Katie and I were solid, at least I thought. Then Lisa started showing up. First once a week, then 3 or 4 times. Every time she left, Katie was different, more distant, more irritated. It was like Lisa planted little bombs in her head and left them to go off. We'd argue over nothing. Katie suddenly wanted to quit her job and just be a housewife. I didn't even care. I make enough to support us. But somehow Lisa convinced her I was against it. Arguments over money, chores, friends, all traced back to Lisa, whispering in her ear. 2 months of this, and Katie moved back in with her parents. Said she needed space. When she came back, she wasn't the same. She'd question me over simple things, doubt me, distrust me. Then she got pregnant. I thought things would get better. I thought the baby would anchor us. I was wrong. Lisa doubled down. Every time she came over, Katie would be colder, more distant. And one afternoon, I came home early. Heard voices in the kitchen. Stop. Listen. Lisa's voice. You don't need his baby tying you down. Abort it. You don't want an Aquarius kid. Trust me. Katie laughed nervously, then said, yeah, maybe you're right. I stood there, frozen. My wife was actually considering it because of horoscope advice from her toxic best friend. I didn't confront her that day. I wanted to believe she wouldn't go through with it. But weeks later, she sat me down and said, I don't think I'm ready to be a mom. I want an abortion. I told her I didn't agree. I begged her not to. She just went silent, changed the subject. Then yesterday happened. Katie broke down sobbing in our bedroom, told me it was already done, a week ago. She went behind my back and aborted our child. I lost it, shouted at her, called her out for letting Lisa control her life, for letting her poison everything we built. She defended her, defended Lisa. Don't talk about her like that. She's my best friend. That's when I snapped, told her Lisa brainwashed her, ruined us, packed a bag, called my brother, told him I needed a place to crash. And now I'm here, sitting in his spare room, thinking about divorce. Katie might have been my wife, but Lisa was always the one running my marriage, and I'm done letting her.